Thank you. It is clear that Republicans would dig our country into another $1 trillion of debt, borrowing from the Chinese, the Saudis, whoever will lend it to us. They've already approved $614 billion in business tax breaks, and they've told us that more are on the way. More tax privileges, more tax exceptions, more tax advantages. This bill today is just another chapter in their ledger of accounts payable for American taxpayers. Such fiscal irresponsibility doesn't represent a plan for genuine tax relief for small businesses or for anyone else. I will say that I agree with them that small businesses have every reason to complain, as do individual taxpayers, because the tax code that they've done so much to write is riddled with special treatment for those who pay more to their lobbyists here in Washington than they do to the U.S. Treasury. It's been a wise investment for them, but a pretty sorry outcome for small business and individual taxpayers. We have some multinational companies who have set up hundreds of offshore subsidiaries to shift their profits out of America and into a place where they don't pay a dime. I can tell you that the cleaning crew at the headquarters of General Electric pays a higher tax rate than General Electric does. That's not fair. They pay a higher tax rate than Joe's Bakery or Patty's Taco House down in San Antonio. That's not fair. It ought to be corrected, but instead they've added almost another $100 billion that they proposed and have approved in committee to help those folks continue dodging their taxes. And at the same time, the proponents of this bill tell us that America simply cannot afford more to educate its children. Only day before yesterday, the Senate refused to address the problem of soaring student debt, now bigger than credit card debt, exceeded only by the giant debt they want to incur for more tax breaks. They tell us we can't afford to do the research necessary to cure Alzheimer's or to find new solutions to cancer and AIDS and other dread diseases. This is not about borrowing to raise small business up. This is just an excuse to reduce the government investment that we need to grow our economy. Apparently, to the Republicans, deficits only matter when asking seniors and students and others to sacrifice, but not when it comes to adding one tax break after another. Now, how did we get to the situation that we're in today? Well, there's been a convenient amnesia about the history of tax reform in this Congress. Last January, the gentleman from Ohio, the Speaker, Mr. Cantor, they came to this floor and they said, "America, have we got a deal for you?" May I have an additional minute? We've got a great deal for you. This big old fat tax code that's bigger than the Bible many times over, that we helped expand to resolve the needs of our special interest supporters, we're going to put it on a diet. We're going to thin it down. We're going to give you a simple tax code that's easy to comply with, and in addition to that, we're going to lower your rate. And you know what? We're going to do all that, and we're not going to add a penny to the national debt, and we'll keep the rates relatively the same for everybody. They reserved H.R. 1. They said it's so important, we're going to make it the #1 priority here. Where are we on that bill, I would ask the gentleman today? And I can tell you, it's still reserved for the Speaker. They've never bought it out and put it on this table and given the American people a chance to vote on it. Because what happened was they went through a long process. They produced their draft bill, and the lobby went wild against it. They could not stand up to the very people that helped them write the complex, unfair tax code we have today.
Gentleman's recognized for a minute.
They couldn't stand up to those special interests. So that bill, 18 months later, not the result of anything Democrats did, not the result of anything the President did, they couldn't agree among themselves about how to respond to all those special interest pressures. And so they're back today going one little bill at a time to add a few $100 billion here, a few $100 billion there, and not provide the comprehensive tax reform they told us themselves they would be providing. And that's why we find ourselves in the predicament we're in today. And I agree with the gentleman, people in Ohio and across America, Texas, elsewhere, they have reason to question this Congress, because of promises just like that, promises to bring reform, to work together in a bipartisan fashion, left on the cutting room floor because special interests, the people that don't pay their fair share of taxes today, they want to keep it that way. They want to continue to disadvantage small business and individual taxpayers. And today we need to say no to this measure and no to their other temporary measures and demand real reform.